I've been seeing this trend going on for some time now. While I don't want to blame it on one person, I do feel that cringe art culture has revealed several toxic behaviors that needs addressing. I've reached out to several popular artists in the art community, and we all seem to share the same similar feelings. I'd like to address them in an organized fashion in this video. I want to make this clear. People are welcome to have opinions about artists and their preferences and style. There's nothing wrong with that. However, things don't always tend to stay so polite and respectful, and it's common for preferences to be pushed as an actual rules of art. And if the artist doesn't obey, bullying and harassment tend to rear their ugly heads. And that's the problem. When content and discussions about outrage over cringe art can lead to artists receiving death threats, having harmful rumors spread, having their account hacked, and being doxxed, it's a clear sign that the community needs a double check. No amount of mistakes in anatomy, perspective, or any other fundamentals justifies bullying and harassing another artist, and especially engaging in said behavior for clout on your own art. That's just trashy. Seriously, I've seen artists and non-artists make content mimicking and mocking people's work for views on their TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube accounts. And I'm sure you've all seen it many times before in other places. When questioning the outrage over cringe art, especially art like this, the responses I receive tend to be, what's with the proportions? Why are they this size? What's with these shapes? People don't look like that. When replying with the age-old answer, it's style. I'm told not all stylistic choices are good and can make your art look terrible. I can see where they're coming from. In some cases, I could even agree with that opinion. But at the end of the day, it's just that, an opinion. And it's an opinion coming from a preference. But Kate, what about the fundamentals? Principles of design and all that? Yes, I'm not disregarding those. They're important. But only if that's the kind of art you want to make. Art is subjective. There's no universal rule to it. It just is. And no amount of disregard for fundamentals will ever justify bullying and harassment. But let's pause for a second and reflect on these bad styles. Surely no professional work has ever made stylistic choices like this, right? Extreme proportions, wacky shapes, strange perspectives, and so on. No professional would ever make such art. This isn't what artists make, right? Jorge R. Gutierrez, Danny Antonucci, Lasky Chupo? Nonsense. And who are these artists who could be starting out young, neurodivergent, or doing their own thing, daring to make this content and then post it? This is an insult, and therefore I have all the right to take their work, publicly mock them, encourage or contribute to others doing the same. Ignore the harassment, disregard their feelings, and stay silent about the effects that has on them, right? Obviously, it's ridiculous to believe someone actually thinks this, but that doesn't mean these things haven't happened. Don't still happen and won't continue to happen if we don't change. I encourage exchanging opinions, ideas, and methods in art. There's nothing wrong with more learning in art, and sharing constructive feedback is a large part of it. But there is a clear difference between constructive criticism and plain harassment. If an artist feels their own work is cringe and wants to have a laugh with their friends, that's fine. That's their art and their business to do what they want with it. This doesn't mean it's okay to do it with other people's art and openly mock other artists only because it's posted publicly. It's not always the case of artists not wanting to listen to criticism or not being able to take a joke. Sometimes it's calling out normalized bullying, and even worse cases, normalized ableism. Things like this, and this are unacceptable. And I personally been on the receiving end of the behavior like this. It sucks. It's horrible. And it almost permanently damaged me as an artist, which is unfortunately what happened to others. It's not okay. It needs to stop. At the beginning of my video, I mentioned that I have spoken to a few well-known artists about their own experiences with this problem and how it's affected their mental health. Because of the subject, I will be using alternative names to keep them safe and anonymous. The first person I spoke with was George, whose art has been on DeviantArt for a very long time. He was just a kid doing silly things with his art, like drawing crossover ships and angsty Pokemon fan art. His work was shared all over. It's quite popular and is very memorable. It's probably touched many who have seen it. On KnowYourMeme.com, his work was screenshot and posted with his username uncensored, and this led to him being the victim of relentless bullying and harassment. The aftermath? It instilled a deep paranoia of possible possibly having a harassment campaign of that scale happening to me again, a fear which has carried on to adulthood. Furthermore, DeviantArt's policy was violated. DeviantArt does not allow posts of screenshots which serve as personal attacks against other members. This includes any screenshot of any online activity and are not allowed even if identifying information such as username and avatars have been censored out. His feelings about cringe culture should be no surprise. Cringe culture is garbage and nothing more than to bully children and neurodivergent people, especially neurodivergent children. I couldn't be prouder to commission George, and I wish the best for him and his artistic journey. The next artist. Let's call her Miku. Miku was very sweet to talk to. What a horrible crime of cringe culture was she guilty of? Creating a Sonic character and role-playing My Little Pony characters with her friends, which made her happy? The aftermath, when she looks back at it now, makes her closed up and confused for who she is in the world. Her work's been spread around and laughed at countless times. She was affected bad enough that she deleted all her work and everything. She made sure no one could see anything made by her. To this day, she has a bad habit of still deleting her work, being overly critical of what she posts, and being a perfectionist. And whenever someone gives her a suggestion, she'll follow through their advice rather than trusting in what she actually wants. She still has a hard time with being confident, but I think she is a wonderful artist and should be definitely treated with respect. In closing, while I would prefer cringe culture to end, that isn't how the world works. And people should be allowed to express their opinions, but bullying and harassment should never be condoned nor normalized. My goal is to see fewer people tearing down other artists, especially beginner, amateur, neurodivergent, and so on. To see people stop pushing their own preferences on others or trying to pass them off as some kind of universal rule for everyone to follow. Hopefully this video has helped that cause in some small way. I think the art world should be fun and inviting, not scary and discouraging. And I want to encourage a better community. Whether you do or don't feel the same, thank you for taking the time to see this video to the end. No matter who you are, I wish the best for you and your art journey.